Hi, welcome back to a new episode of the Guns Book Club in the Bond Book Club. Yeah. And today, guys, is an extremely special episode because today, guys, we are on episode number 351, guys. So many episodes, guys. So let's go. And guys, today, guys, the truth. Today, I thought that I am going to make 5 episodes or something like this, but I think I'm going to make only one. Guys, first of all, I went to sleep late. And I wake up late. I wake up in 9:15. And after that, I need to daven and to run. I ran today. I ran my first 6 kilometer complete. Getting ready to the 10 kilometer marathon in 4 weeks, I think, 3 weeks. And I really need to get started to learn the exams that are coming. Anyway. So I'm making the one episode, and yeah, let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Let's just do it. So if you are new to the channel, welcome, and if you're on the channel, welcome back. My name is Zaki, and I'm your host. And this podcast, guys, we're working together on English speaking and on a conversation skills just in front of the camera and to communicate better for the camera. I'm doing so because I truly believe that English is the number one tool each one of us must acquire in order to be successful in life. And the second tool that is going to help us a lot is to know how to communicate better for the camera. And if you take those two skills and you can combine them together and can create content in the internet and you can influence billions of people all around the world. So it's highly recommended to work with the stuff and to improve yourself, guys. And I think that by showing you guys my journey, my ups and downs, and my failures with success, is the lessons that I learned from the process of podcasting 5 extremely exciting episodes per week. I inspire some people like you, ladies and gentlemen, that are watching podcasts right now, like you, to also do the same and to also share with the world, inspire the world. Because we're learning, guys. So let's go. And today, guys, we got this majestic background. You see this little girl. This girl, I don't know if you read it, but this girl, she look at a bookshelf and she see beyond all the stories that happen. So if you want to go to check out this grand background, you know, if you can find it, 3, 2, 1, kabam! You can find it in good fun. And this is the grand background for good fun by none other than NJ 123 on 7 September 2014, and it's downloaded only 9,000 times, guys. So yeah, a lot. You guys want to, if you want to download the pictures, you just need to choose a resolution from here. Choose the mark save it on the computer. Press download. Right click on the picture. Go to Shmirat B'Shem S and Shmirat B'Shem enable and type that and come and say picture as in English and type that and come with what I wanted in language. And all of us need to get from all around the world. It's going to be a really good game. What's on it? Choose the one to save it on the computer. Press save. And you can see I already downloaded it. It's this computer documents like a book club. Episode 551 photo. Press save and comment just like that. You will get this grand background on the computer. So thank you very much for the this. We made this grand background and thank you very much 100 to free for sharing this grand background fast. And today, guys, we continue our journey with Influence of Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini. A really good book. And you know, I really enjoy to read it each day. And guys, if you want, and we learn so much from this great book. And guys, if you want to download the picture, if you want to check out this picture, or if you want to check out Influence the book, and know the Cialdini social media account, you know when we got the link to it. Yeah, that's right in the description below. So make sure to check them out, tag them, and learn from them. And guys, if anyone will finish any suggestion for me, come from the podcast, or if anyone will want to go podcast, they get on the podcast. Share with somebody inspired the world, like this because we're in every time if you guys in English, because we're in English. Please in the comment below so they can arrange it. And guys, you're almost welcome if you learn something new to the channel, maybe something started or a nice quote for the book. When you have your own life lessons to learn from somewhere else. Please, guys, share fast, share all your wisdom fast with the community in the comment section below, so all of us can enrich our life and improve ourselves thanks to your wisdom. And of course, guys, if you enjoy the podcast, and guys, one thing before we move to the book, if you enjoy the process, if you like the video, if you want to support the channel, please consider showing your support by like the video for fans subscribe to the channel, push notification bell, get the donation, get extremely exciting episode on YouTube. And there is going to be 5 extremely exciting episodes per week. So you definitely want to be notified when those episodes are coming to YouTube. And guys, today is Friday, 29 on April 2022, and subcomment 2. We have two subcomment to the channel. Shout out to you guys. Total views of 351 total views in the current episode that was released yesterday. But episode 345, and today it's not going to be an episode, it's Friday. We are releasing the episode from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it's good because each episode that I'm recording on Friday and Saturday is going to become to the safety net, because if I'm recording one episode on the days that I'm releasing an episode, so it's equal. But if I'm recording an episode on the days that I don't release episode, so it's one more. It's always good to put the work in, the extra work in, and to record the record and to record episodes so to the safety net. Now guys, what an introduction, and let's just right into the book. So Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini, page 112 to 116, the PDF. Read with the meat, the legend of Van Evon is the Mr. Jean, please. Mr. Jean, please. Mr. Jean, please. So boy, yeah, what's up, it's me, so let's go. Got Rihanna. I'm falling in love. The headphone is good vibes. Let me get comfortable. Let's go. What is easy to forget, though? That everybody else observing the event is likely to be looking for social evidence too. And because we all prefer to appear poised and unflustered among others, we are likely to reach for that evidence privacy with brief camouflaged glance at those around us. Therefore, everyone is likely to see everyone else looking unroofed and failing to act. As a result, and by the principle of social proof, the event will be roundly interpreted as a non-emergency. This, according to Latin and Darnley, is a state of pluralistic ignorance in which each person decided that since nobody is concerned, nothing is wrong. Meanwhile, the danger might be mounting to the point where a single individual, uninfluenced by the seeming column of others, would react. The fascinating upshot of Latin and Darnley's reasoning is that for the emergency victim, the idea of safety in numbers might often be completely wrong. It might be that someone in need of emergency aid would have a better chance of survival if a single bystander, rather than a crowd, was present. To test this unusual thesis, Darnley, Latin, the students and colleagues performed a systematic and impressive program of research that produced a clear set of findings. The basic procedure was to stage emergency events, emergency events that were observed either by a single individual or by a group of people. They then recorded the numbers of times the emergency victim received help under those circumstances. In their first experiment, A new college student who appeared to be having an epileptic seizures received help 85% of time when there was a single bystander present, but only 31% of the time with five bystanders present. If almost all the single bystanders helping, it becomes difficult to argue that ours is a cold society where no one cares for suffering others. Obviously, it was something about the presence of other bystanders that reduced helping to shameful levels. Other studies have examined the importance of social proof in causing with spread witness. Apathy. They have done so by planting within a group of witnesses to a possible emergency people who are asked to act as if no emergency were occurring. For instance, in another New York-based experiment, 75% of lone individuals who observed smoke sitting from under a door reported the leak. However, when similar leaks were observed by three-person groups, the smoke was reported only 38% of the time. The smallest number of bystanders took action, though, when the three-person groups included two individuals who had been coached to ignore the smoke, who had been coached to ignore the smoke. Under those conditions, the leaks were reportedly only 10% of the time. In a similar study conducted in Toronto, single bystander provide emergency aid 90% of the time. Whereas such aid occurred in only 16% of the case when a bystander was in the presence of two other bystanders who remained passive. After more than a decade of such research, social scientists now have a good idea of when a bystander will offer emergency aid. First, and contrary to the view that we have become social, that we have become a society of callous, uncaring people. Once witnesses are convinced that an emergency situation exists, aid is very likely. Under those conditions, the numbers of bystanders who either intervene themselves or someone else is quite comforting. For example, in four separate experiments done in Florida, accident scenes involving a maintenance man were staged. When it was clear that the man was hurt and required assistance, he was helped 100% of the time in two of the experiments. In the other two experiments, were helping involved contact with potentially dangerous electrical wires. The victim still received bystander aid in 90% of the instance. In addition, those extremely high levels of assistance occurred whether the witness observes the event singly or in a group. The situation becomes very different then, as in many cases, bystanders cannot be sure that the event they were witnessing is an emergency. Then a victim is much more likely to be helped by a lone bystander than by a group, especially if the people in the group are strangers to one another. It seems that the pluralistic ignorance effect is strongest among strangers, because we like to poised and sophisticated in public, and because we are unfamiliar with the reactions of those we do not know. We are likely to give off or correctly read expressions of concern when in a grouping of strangers. Therefore, a possible emergency becomes viewed as a non-emergency, and the victim suffers. A close look at this set of research findings reveals an enlightening pattern. All the conditions that decrease in emergency victims' chances for bystander aid exist normally and inconsistently in the city. One, in contrast to rural areas, cities are more clamorous, distracting, rapidly changing places, where it is difficult to be certain of the nature of the events one encounters. Two, urban environments are more populous by the nature. Consequently, people are more likely to be with others when witnessing a potential emergency situation. Three, city dollars know a much smaller percentage of field residents than do people who live in small towns. Therefore, city dwellers are more likely to find themselves in a group of strangers when observing an emergency. Those three natural characteristics of urban environments: their confusion, their populousness, and their low levels of acquaintanceship fit in very well with the factors shown by research to decrease bystander aid. Without ever having to resort to such sinister concepts as urban depersonalization, and megalopolitan alienation, then we can explain why so many instances of bystander in action occur in our cities. Title: The Victimizing Yourself. But explaining the dangers of modern urban life in less obvious terms does not dispel them. And the world's populations move increasingly to the cities. Half of all humanity will be city dwellers within 10 years. There will be a growing need to reduce those dangers. Fortunately, our newfound understanding of the bystander empathy process offers real hope. Armed with this scientific knowledge, an emergency victim can increase enormously the chance of receiving aid from others. The key is the realization that groups of bystanders fail to help because the bystanders are unsure rather than unkind. They don't help because they are unsure of whether an emergency actually exists and whether they are responsible for taking action. When they are sure of their responsibilities for intervening in a clear emergency, people are exceedingly responsive. Once it is understood that the enemy is not some unmanageable societal condition like urban depersonalization, but is instead the simple state of uncertainty, it becomes possible for emergency victims to take specific steps to protect themselves by reducing the bystanders' uncertainty. Imagine, for example, you are spending a summer afternoon at a music concert in the park. As the concert ends and people begin leaving, you notice a slight numbness in one arm, but dismiss it as nothing to be alarmed about. Yet, while moving with the crowd to the distant parking areas, you feel the numbness spreading down to your hand and end up one side of your face. Feeling disoriented, you decide to sit against the tree for a moment to rest. Soon you realize that something is drastically wrong. Sitting down is not helped. In fact, the control and coordination of your muscles is worsened. The point that you are starting to have difficulty moving, your mouth and the tongue to speak. You try to get up, but can't. Terrifying thought slashes to aim, slash to mind. Oh God, I'm having a stroke. Groups of people are passing by, and most are paying you no attention. The few you notice the few who notice the odd way you're slumped against the tree or the strange look on your face. Check the social evidence around them and seeing that no one else is reacting with concern. Walk on past convinced that nothing is wrong. Were you to find yourself in such a predicament, what could you do to overcome the odds against receiving help? Because your physical abilities would be deteriorating, time would be crucial. If before you could summon aid, you lost your speech, or mobility, or consciousness, your chances for assistance and for recovery would plunge drastically. It would be essential to try to request help quickly. But what would the most effective form of that request be? Moans, groans, or outcries probably would not do. They might bring you some attention, but they would not provide enough information to assure personally that a true emergency existed. If mere outcries are unlikely to produce help from the passing crowd, perhaps you should be more specific. Indeed, you need to do more than try to gain attention. Indeed, you need to do more than try to gain attention. You should call out clearly your need for assistance. You must not allow bystanders to define your situation as a non-emergency. Use the word help to cry out for your need for emergency aid. And don't worry about being wrong. Embarrassment is a villain to be crushed on. In the context of a possible stroke, you cannot afford to be worried about the awkwardness of overestimating your problem. The difference is the difference in cost is that between a moment of embarrassment and possible death or lifelong paralysis. But even a reasoning call for help is not your most effective tactic. But even a resounding call for help is not your most effective tactic. Although it might reduce bystanders' doubts about whether a real emergency exists, it will not remove several other important uncertainties within each onlooker mind. What the kind of aid is required here? Should I be the one to provide the aid, or should someone more qualified do it? Is someone else already going to get professional help, or is it my responsibility? Why the bystander stand gawking at you and grappling with those questions? Time vital to your survival could be slipping away. Clearly, then, as a victim, you must do more than alert bystanders to your need for emergency assistance. You must also remove the uncertainties about how that assistance should be provided and who should provide it. But what would be the most effective? What would be the most efficient and reliable way to do so? Based on the research findings we have seen, my advice would be to isolate one individual from the crowd. Stare, speak, and point directly at that person and no one else. You, sir, in the blue jacket, I need help. call an ambulance. With that one, Uternes, you should dispel all the uncertainties that might prevent or delay help. With that one statement, you will have put the man in the blue jacket in the role of rescuer. Damn, it's work for me, rescuer. You should now understand that emergency aid is needed. You should understand that he, not someone else, is responsible for providing the aid. And finally, you should understand exactly how to provide it. All the scientific evidence indicates that the result should be quick, effective assistant. In general, then, your best strategy when in need for emergency help is to reduce the uncertainties of those around you concerning your condition and the responsibilities. Be as precise as possible about your need for aid. Do not allow bystanders to come to their own conclusions because, especially in a crowd, the principle of social proof and the consequent pluralistic ignorance effect might well cause them to view your situation as a non-emergency and request assistance of a single individual from the group of onlookers. And request assistance of a single individual from the group of onlookers. Fight the natural tendency to make a general request for help. Pick out one person and assign the task to that individual. Otherwise, it is too easy for everyone in the crowd to assume that someone else should help. Either will help or is helped. Of all the techniques in this book, designing to produce a compliance with a request, this one might be the most important to remember. After all, the failure of your request for emergency aid could have severe personal consequences. Not long ago, I received some first-hand evidence on this point. I was involved in a rather serious automobile collision. Both I and the other driver were plenty hurt. He was slumped unconscious over the steering wheel while I managed to stagger bloody from behind mine. The accident had occurred in the center of an intersection is in full view of several individuals stopped in the cars at the traffic light. As I inclined in the road beside my door, trying to clear my head, the light changed and the waiting cars began to roll slowly through the intersection. The drivers gawked but did not stop. I remember thinking, oh no, it's happening just like the research says. They are all passing by. I consider it a fortune that, as a social psychologist, I knew enough about the bystander studies to have that particular thought. By thinking of my predicament in terms of the research findings, I knew exactly what to do. Pulling myself up so I could be seen clearly, I pointed at the driver of one car. Call the police. To a second, and I feel driver pointing directly each time. Pull over, we need help. The responses of those people were in 10 shoes. They summoned the police car and the ambulance immediately. They used their and care chiefs to bolt towards the blood from my face. They put a jacket under my head. They volunteered to serve as witness to the accident. One even offered to ride with me to the hospital. Not only was this help rapid and solicitous, it was infectious. After the drivers entering the intersection, from the other direction, so cars stopping for me. They stopped and they began attending to the other victim. The principle of social proof was working for us now. The trick had been to get the ball rolling in the direction of aid. Once that was accomplished, I was able to relax and let the bystanders' genuine concern and social proof's natural momentum to do the rest. And guys, guess what? This is the end of the episode. So I really hope that you learned something with the channel, that you enjoyed this episode. And guys, I can't wait to see you all in tomorrow episode, the next episode of the Good Book in the Board, the Book Club. And we're going to start a new title. Malk me, Malk you. Until then, guys, have a great time. Thank you for yourself. Have a great time, and bye-bye. You know, guys, have a great day for the great motivation. Can't get time. Your boy, AK. Guys, today is Friday, 29 April 2022, and time now is 15:22. And finish the book, and now I'm tired, so I think I'm going to rest a little bit after the run to get powers, and then coming back and start to do my stuff that I need before שבת. יום שישי, 29 של ערבי 2022, בשעה עכשיו היא 3:23, אז אני אתפלח לנוח. נקום ב-4 ככה, 4:30. נתרגל לשבת, ויאללה, ניתן בראש. קדימה, להתראות. שבת שלום.